Today's story is called The Three Servants. Now, this is a story that Jesus told. When Jesus was on the earth, he was telling stories to all of the crowds of the people who had come to listen to him. All of the people wanted to hear what Jesus had to say, because Jesus told lots of stories and gave lots of messages in his stories. Because when God brought Jesus down to earth, he wanted Jesus to teach the people all of the things about how to live the best lives they could and show love, just like he wanted them to. So today's story was about a man who had 3 servants. So these are the servants. Okay. And here is the man. Now, the man, the master, he gave each servant 3 coins each. So they each had the same amount of money each. And he trusted them with this money. It was his money, it belonged to him, and he trusted each servant to do something with his money. Now, the first servant, he had lots of ideas, and he knew that this money was very important to the master, and he wanted to take care of it. And so he went off with his money and he spent it. And when he came back, he'd spent it and he'd invested it, which meant that he'd used it wisely, so much so that he made even more money. Now, this man, he had ideas too. He knew that he had some good plans, so he went off and he spent the money and invested it, and he too came back with lots more money to give to the master. This man had the same amount of money, but he was a bit worried. He didn't really have any ideas. He knew that he could make some good choices, and he knew that actually there were things he could probably do with his money. But then he worried a little bit about that. And so he thought the best idea would be to not lose the money, but to look after it and keep it safe, so that when the master wanted it back, he could give it back to him. And so what he did is he dug a big hole and he buried the money, and it sat there. So the money didn't do anything. He didn't spend it and he didn't make any more like these 2 servants. It just sat there buried. So when the master came back and he saw the servants, the 3 servants, he asked them, "What did you do with the money I gave you?" The first servant explained how he had some ideas and he spent some of the money, which meant that he made more money. And he did lots of clever things with it so that the money became more than what he'd given him. The master was very pleased with him. Then he went on to the next servant, and the next servant explained that he too spent the money so that he could buy things and sell more things, and then he ended up making more money than what had been given to him. And the master was very pleased with him too. Then lastly, he came to the 3rd servant. And the 3rd servant said, "Well, master, I was so worried that I would lose your money if I spent it all, and I didn't spend it on the right things to make more money so I could have more things and buy more things and sell more things, that I decided to bury it." And so he undug the hole. And underneath, there was the master's money. 1, 2, 3 coins, just like he'd given him. Now the master was not very happy. And the reason he wasn't very happy was because the good things that he had given to the servant to use so that he could maybe make some more money and spend, he had just buried. And it was like They weren't even there. And you know what? God is a little bit like the master. But instead of money, he thinks of these things as the things that he gives us, the things that we are good at. And so let's think about things that we might be good at and think about whether they are things that we should bury or whether they are things that we should do something with and we should share. These things are called our talents. And so maybe you are good at singing. Maybe you don't choose to sing very often because you don't think it's really what other people want to hear. Or maybe you are good at showing kindness. But when other people watch you, they might think that you're being a bit too kind, or they might be a bit jealous of you. And so you don't show kindness. Maybe you are very good at maths. Maybe you're very good at a subject at school. But actually, people just think you're showing off, so you choose not to do your good maths. But actually, if you did do it, it might be that you could help other people who might be struggling. You see, there are lots of things that we can be good at, and they're all like the things that God has given to these servants. And the most important message is that God doesn't want us to hide these things. He doesn't want us to pretend that these things aren't there. He wants us to do the wonderful things that he has made us to do. And if we do that, that means that we are doing the things that God wants us to do, which is a way of us showing love to God, of us saying to God, thank you. Thank you that I'm good at singing. Thank you that I'm really good at being kind. Thank you that I'm really good at maths. And let me see how I can use the things that I'm good at to see if I can make the world even better. Just the same way as these servants used the money to make even more, so that more things could be bought and more good things could happen. I wonder what you're good at. I wonder what talents God has given you. I wonder if you are using all of your talents or whether you are hiding them away.